I've just never heard of Craig David, so...
Trust me, he does exist. He's quite well.
Major Charles Ingram, a former British Army officer, gained notoriety for his involvement in the infamous Who Wants to Be a Millionaire cheating scandal in 2001. His stint on the program took a dramatic turn when suspicions arose regarding his £1 million win. But what happened exactly, and was the Major guilty? Let's find out. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire began its journey in the UK in 1998. It quickly became a cultural phenomenon. Created by David Briggs, Mike Whitehill, and Stephen Knight, the show premiered on ITV and was hosted by the charismatic Chris Tarrant. Its format was simple yet captivating. Contestants answered a series of increasingly difficult, multiple-choice questions, with each correct answer leading them closer to the grand prize of £1 million. What set the show apart was its innovative lifeline system, allowing contestants to seek assistance when unsure of an answer. These lifelines included 50-50, where 2 incorrect answers were eliminated, phone a friend, enabling contestants to consult a friend or family member, and ask the audience, allowing the studio audience to vote on the correct answer. The show's tension-filled atmosphere and the allure of life-changing sums of money made it a ratings juggernaut. Viewers were drawn not only to the intense gameplay, but also to the emotional journeys of the contestants vying for the jackpot. It quickly spawned adaptations worldwide, cementing its status as a global phenomenon. But the show went under tremendous scrutiny in its infancy. For that, we'll have to consider a one Adrian Pollock.
Thanks, Dad.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad. Well, 50% certainly.
Okay, I'll go May.
Go May?
Yep.
We're going with your dad's 50% hunch.
Yeah, and mine slightly more than 50%, but not much. 52%.
Final answer.
Yes, final answer.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire quickly gained fans all across the British Isles, and the phones were constantly ringing as ordinary Britons across the country longed for a chance to try their luck. One such fellow was Adrian Pollock, an entrepreneur in Wales. While nothing is 100% confirmed, the popular version of the story is that his business was in debt, and he saw appearing on the show as an opportunity to clear these debts. Allegedly, he came in touch with a syndicate who would try to help contestants win the game. As we know, one of the lifelines on the show is to phone a friend. There would be rooms of so-called friends across the country ready to pick up their phone and help the contestant, provided they got their cut. Adrian appeared on the show in December 2000. He was on the £64,000 question when he was stumped. He didn't know when the American celebration of Labor Day was. Alas, he got the question wrong thanks to an incorrect answer from his lifeline, his father. He was disqualified from the game and had to walk away with £32,000. Sometime later, his sister Diana appeared on the show, and she too only walked away with £32,000. Neither Adrian nor Diana were pleased with the £32,000 that either of them won. They wanted to win the million, but neither were allowed to play again, as the show doesn't allow contestants to try their luck a second time. As a result, they both needed to find a third person who had the skills needed to become a millionaire. And if that didn't work, there were other ways to get the answers correct.
Because you're a military man.
Indeed. Yeah.
Morning, Major. Morning, Faulty.
At ease, Major. Major Charles Ingram was a respected British military officer, given honors for serving in Bosnia during the war in the 1990s. He was also a dedicated family man who loved his wife Diana and their children. What he wasn't was a keen quizzer. While Adrian, Diana, and their father were big fans of quiz shows, Charles never cared much for them. And on the rare occasion he did watch them with his family, he seldom seemed to get the answers correct. In short, he was an unlikely candidate for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But for Adrian and Diana, he seemed to be their last hope. He appeared on the show on September 9th, 2001. He fared fairly well on the first day, though he used 2 lifelines and only had the 50-50 option left. The day ended with him winning £4,000. He would have to return the following day to finish the gameplay. The next day came, and it was perhaps the most tense round that any contestant had faced. Perhaps no one in the audience was as tense on that show as they'd been before. Chris Tarrant later recalled how impressed by the Major he was. It should be noted that at this point, only one person, Judith Keppel, had won the £1 million. Do you have to Google that? By now, all of us know the answer to this question, but the term Googol, whether one used the original spelling or the one used by the company, was still relatively unknown in the early 2000s. As a result, this final question, worth £1 million, was a huge challenge for the Major. Looking back at the episode, one can see he certainly wasn't in a hurry to answer the question. After much time thinking out loud, the Major answered correctly, and he won £1 million. Confetti poured across the room, and he received a standing ovation. It was a great victory and a great moment in quiz show history and British television history. But the story was just getting started. Cough, cough.
No idea how you got there. Diana, you went to hell and back up there.
The saga of Major Charles Ingram's alleged cheating culminated in a dramatic trial that captivated audiences worldwide. Despite being found guilty, lingering doubts persist regarding his involvement in the scandal. The show's producers had their doubts, but the events of September 11th, 2001, occurring the day after Major's win, postponed their bringing forth a case. Eventually, however, they decided to contact the police and informed the Major that they suspected him of cheating, which he refuted. Ingram's downfall began when suspicious patterns emerged during his £1 million win. Observers noted unusual coughing sounds from the audience whenever Ingram considered an answer, leading to accusations he was receiving illicit cues. These suspicions prompted an investigation, which eventually led to criminal charges against Ingram, his wife Diana, and Tequin Whittock, another contestant on the show, who would sit in the hot seat and try his luck after Major Charles left after winning his million. It was alleged that Diana and Tequin worked together to help the Major cheat. During the trial, prosecutors presented evidence suggesting that Whittock strategically coughed to signal correct answers to Ingram. Despite vehement denials from the defendants, including claims the coughing was coincidental, the jury ultimately found them guilty of deception. But doubts about the verdict persist, fueled in part by the book Bad Show by chess grandmaster James Plaskett and investigative journalist Bob Woffenden. The book challenges the prosecution's narrative, suggesting the evidence against Ingram was circumstantial and the coughing could have been unrelated to cheating. The notable journalist and author John Ronson wrote about the trial at the time, and he also had his doubts. The Major had to resign from the British Army, and he and his wife were hounded by the press for some time. Much of the fervor has died down as time has passed. The Ingrams both faced harassment, as passers-by would cough around them and mock them. In one incident, eggs were thrown at their car as Diana picked up her children from school. In another, a pellet gun was fired at their house and their cat was severely injured. That harassment has died down since, but the memory continues to linger. Tequin Whittock quit his job as a professor and has tried to make his living as a speaker, often discussing this strange period in his life. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think that the Major, his wife, and Mr. Whittock were indeed cheating? Let us know in the comments section below.